Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Now if you've been here for a while, you may have seen me pull out this random notebook. This is the notebook that I use to track my colouring journal, just like the pages I do each month, what I'm working on, any new purchases, different bits and pieces that I like to track. And so I thought this month it would be really neat to just show you how I set up a spread. I also happen to be going away, so I need to set this spread up a little earlier than I normally would. I normally do this on the last couple of days of the month, but it's currently right at the start of May, and I'm going to set up June's spreads. But, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. So, this notebook in particular, it's got the name Future Useful on here. I cannot tell you what this brand is. It is just a random notebook that I found at the warehouse, which is sort of our equivalent of Target. But the reason I like it is it's grid. And this makes it really straightforward for me in terms of trying to space stuff out because I can just follow the lines. A bullet journal would be the same sort of thing, but I also like the really big pages. So for me, this works well. Right, so the first thing that I do is I find the last page of the previous month, and I have these little sticker date things. I think they're meant to be tabs for like a Filofax type journal or something. I think that's what they're officially from. I found them on clearance like years ago. And I was like, oh, that could be handy for something. Never used them. Found them in my closet one day. Put them with my stickers. And hey, we did find a use for them. Now, they're not the best for sticking. They tend to lift up a little bit. But that just gives me the tabs so I can find the different months as needed. So, this is where we'll be starting off. Now, for May, being mermaid, I did a bit of a mermaid theme. I usually just grab a washi tape and some stickers, or I think this time I use like some journaling stuff, like die cuts or something. I don't know. So, but this month, basically all I do is I just go through my box of random stickers and pull out something and then work from there. So I was digging through there and I found these really cool dragonflies. I don't even know how long ago I got these, but it's like, oh, they're really pretty. And then I found this random sheet with some hearts, and I was like, the silver hearts kind of go, and that kind of settled it. So then I went digging in my washi tape box, and I found these two glitter tapes that are absolutely falling apart. And I was like, cool, silver kind of seemed to be going with a silver and pink theme here. So I just pulled out some corresponding ones. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to use everything, but I just pull out a bunch of stuff to start off with. I can always add in more, I can always add in less. But that's what I've pulled out so far. The other thing that I tend to use is I have these absolutely knockoff Jewel Art markers. I don't know, I just got them on Wish years ago. They're just brush markers with a fine tip on one side. Absolute knockoff white label product, but they do the job, and I think it was like $2 or $3 for this whole thing. A couple of them have dried out by now, but don't know why there's a couple of pens in there. But yeah, it does the job. And then the other thing that I usually pull out, I think it's in here. Should be in here. Of course it's not in here. I have a Sharpie like this that is light grey, and I like to use it because it's good for basing. Although that being said, that grey is not bad if I have to. Oh, you could be in here. This could be the logical place for it. If I was smart, put it in the logical place. I did not. I've got stuff all over my desk at the moment. I'm trying to pre-film a bunch of stuff, and so I've got more projects on the go than I normally would like to have on the go, and these just art supplies everywhere right now. I think tomorrow I'm going to just spend part of the day just stopping and cleaning up and getting track of where I'm at. But, alright. It's not around here. Can't find it. So, hey, I guess I'll just use that one today. But yeah, I have like a really pale grey in these that I quite often like to use. And I have these available should I need some actual pens as well. But most of the time I honestly just use these ones. So because we're going with sort of like a pinky theme, that'll work. I think I've been using this for quite a few different testers lately. Sort of like a pinky purple almost. Oh, you're basically the exact same colour. Just so you can see the lightness of the grey. It's pretty light, so it'll work well. I wonder if you're the exact same colour. No, you are not. Oh, yeah, see, that's one that's probably a bit gone, but it's also a bit more purple than I was looking for anyway. That's very pink. I think we'll just stick to the two purples that are exactly the same. And then we might as well pull out a darker grey since we seem to be going with that silver thing. Like that's meant to be silver apparently. That's the only thing with these markers. They're so cheap that they're not accurate at all. Alright, we'll use a silver one. It's slightly more blue tone, so it just kind of fits in better. I don't think I actually have a... I'm pretty sure there was a medium grey to the black, and I'm pretty sure it's gone because I used it a lot because it was a really pretty colour. So I think we'll just have to call it that. It's okay. If need be, I will pull out that darker grey. We will use that too. Alright, so that's basically our colour themes. Alright. So my usual process for doing this is I make myself a cup of tea, I sit down, and then I start creating. So you'll see I have some set categories. Now, because I always forget what my categories are, I just use my phone to take a copy of the last one. And that way I don't have to keep flicking through. I can just look at how I set up the previous month. And then that one is a special thing. So sometimes in the months I will chuck in other stuff. I have the set tracking pages, but then if I have stuff that I want to put in, so for example for the month of May I put in my graduation speech. In February I actually drafted my massive colour and ankylosing spondylitis points in here. So sometimes I will chuck things down if needed. Also, if you see any pages like this where it's like all smudgy, I did spill water on this, so you know, there's some pages where it's a bit smushy. Alright, so how do we start? I think we're just going to start off by writing June. Do we want to do it centre? Do we want to do it to the side? So if we go back to the phone, last month I did it a bit to the side and then I put like a little seashell at the top. So I think this month we might just start in the middle. Now I'm not a great letterist. I am very much a newbie when it comes to lettering. All I know is you choose one to go thin on and you choose one to go thick on. So that is what I do. So I'm going thin on the up and thick on the down. And then I just add some swirls. So that came down technically. Just do a little swirly swirl there. And I'm never too pedantic because at the end of the day, like, this journal is really just for me. It's just so I track stuff. I do have a lot of fun doing this each month. This is my little, like, end of the month reprieve of, oh, it's the end of the month. I get to figure out what my journal's going to be. So, yeah. I did get into journaling for a while. I don't tend to actually keep using a journal or a bullet journal or anything like that consistently. I have tried a number of ways, a number of times. The most consistent thing I ever did was art journaling, but I also didn't put any set time frame on that. I just worked on it when I felt like working on it, and that worked for me. So if I'm gonna journal, it's usually when I feel like journaling as opposed to a daily thing. But I do like this once in a month for the YouTube. But for like day-to-day stuff, I tend to just chuck it on my phone. It's definitely a lot prettier in a bullet journal. Alright, so I'm just going to use some tape and just put like a bar across. I think I actually did this last month too, but I just like the simplicity of it, you know? So we're pulling out this slightly more red tape. And the great thing about like the lines, it makes it real easy to sort of line up where it's meant to be. I'm just thinking, yeah, it's a bit thick for that. I think we'll pull out a dragonfly. I mean, the whole point of this spread is to use the dragonflies, so. Now pull them out of the packet. Some of them are a bit bronzier than I thought they'd be. They're also a lot more puffier, so we're going to have to make a point with these ones that they are more on the edges than where I would normally write. That's cute though. If it will stick down properly. Do we do it that way? That'll work. There we go. And then we'll just pull out a silver heart. In fact, we'll pull out two. Okay. So the next thing I draw is a calendar. I don't use this calendar really all that much. It's just there if I ever need to look at something quickly. I've just got a quick overview. So it's just a very small calendar. That lets me know which day the first of the month is, which day the last of the month is, because this can dictate videos and when things come out and stuff. So I just write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's a T, not an F. Oh my goodness. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then this month, the first is on a Thursday, which means that is the 5th, that is the 12th, that is the 19th, that is the 26th, and June has 30 days, and we end on a Friday. 7, 28, 29, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll just go around the outside. I'll put a separate bar on top here. So it's just there as just like a point of reference. It really isn't used for anything other than just what day? Oh yeah, it's there. Again, most of the time if I'm going to look at the date, I'm going to look at my phone. Right, and then we have the socials that I like to track. I'm already feeling like I need another colour. It feels very like we're going to use a lot of pink and needs a lot of that red. Yeah, let's pull that in. I think that'll help. So what I might do is I might use this just to add some detail to here. So anywhere that I did those downstrokes, I am just going over it, but I am ignoring any of the overlapping lines. Just add a bit of detail and variation. It's not much, but it'll help. And then let's just go over this. That'll also help fix up my Thursday mistake. I do make mistakes in here. Sometimes I use Posca to kind of cover stuff up if need be, but it's just whatever. Right, now that we have the second colour, we can start doing our... No, I did thin on the up and thick on the down. Do we want to do that? No, I think we'll go thin this time. Did that last time. I think we'll just do... Right, so the first thing we write down is the socials tracker. Do we want socials? We do socials. Consistency. And now we can pull out that thinner pink. And so the things that I track are YouTube. And then we have... Make sure I get this in the right order. I changed it 1 month and it threw me off so much when it came time to fill it out. Instagram, Twitch, and Facebook. And then what I do is I write an S for what we start on the month, and to leave 3 spaces, then write an F for what we finish on the month. 1, 2, 3 again. This is why I like the cubes. And then a little arrow for how much that increased. Now with these numbers, I've talked about this before in my wrap-up videos when I fill it out. I don't like track these numbers to be like, I've got this many followers or anything. I like numbers. I like seeing growth in charts and statistics, and I really like going to the analytics page and like looking at where people are from and why they're watching videos, what else they like to look at. So a lot of this is to do with just me and my love of numbers and data and how things come together. So please don't take any time I write the totals in here as a, oh look, I've got over 2,000 subscribers or something. Like, I can turn around and point to people with 5,000, 10,000, 1 million. You know? Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. I'm recording this at 1 a.m. in the morning. Oh, goodness. So the actual starting numbers for the month, this gets filled in when after I get to the end of the previous month. So on the first week of June, I will do a review of all the pages I completed, and then I do my stat fill-in at the end of my monthly wrap-up videos, where I will go into May and I will write the finished totals, and then I will put the increase in here. And then after that video, I take the finished total numbers and I put that in as this month's starting numbers. So that part will be filled in later on. And I just chose to thicken that up because we've got a lot of thin writing. So this is just a way to help separate it out a bit. But I'll still write thin to begin with, and then I'll thicken it afterwards. So the next category that I track is totals. See, just screwed up then. And again, this kind of helps us see on the line if I'm like lining up, or because I kind of split this first page into two, so this just helps me line things up. And we covered up that extra dot by using the thicker pen. Cool. So how I do this one is I start with the pages, and then I just write FO for finished off, and then I'll just put my total in there. I forgot the little dots on here, even though it goes to the next line. And then under here in much smaller writing, I just put the total. So this is the total number of pages altogether. So like, for example, in the month of April, which is the month that has been last filled out in here, I completed 10 pages, which was my total to 194 across all my colouring books. And I don't put a slash and put the total of unworked pages, because honest to God, that would make me cry so much if I actually added it up. I could with my trackers, because I also have a digital tracker, and that is where I track percentages and like how much is completed in specific books, what are the books in my collection, because that is consistently changing. I don't like a paper copy, with the exception at the start of the year I did write down all my books as I currently own them at the start of the year, so that at the end of the year I can go through this list, see what I've worked through, what hasn't been touched in a year, maybe look at killing some books. So yeah, but for the most part that is all done digitally on a spreadsheet on the computer. So the next one that I write is new work in progresses. So if you've watched any of these previous videos, you would have seen, you would have heard me talk about the goal to try and get my work in progress pages down, because I started the year, I think I've been saying 55, but I believe it was actually 58 work in progress pages. Now it's down a lot more. Unfortunately, last month we created some extra ones because there were 6 work in progress pages by not finishing a lot of Kirby pages in April. So currently it's at 45, but if we take away those 6, it's at 39. So it is getting down. And hopefully in May I will finish off a lot of those pages and get that number way down, and then in June even be less. Alright, so the next category is new book purchases. Now I don't track PDFs just because I haven't found a way that I like tracking them yet. I only track physical books. So I track how many new books I purchase per month, and then the total. And then the other thing I am tracking at the moment is just the videos uploaded, because I just like seeing. I've upload a lot of videos every month. I don't intend to upload this much content consistently. It's just at the moment I have a lot of content, so I do upload pretty much daily at the moment. Hoping, I don't know if I'll carry on with that, if I'll look at doing more complex, shorter videos. I like the format of how I upload my videos, which is, depending what mood I'm in, depending on what I'm working on, might just be a time lapse with some music, and they're not hard for me to edit. They just speed up some footage, cut out the big gaps, put on some music. Like, I don't mind those. Those take me no effort to edit. It depends how I'm feeling physically as to what sort of video I want to edit and put out. Something like this, where I'm just sitting down and talking, isn't hard either. It's just the what do I talk about type situation. So I quite enjoy these ones too. Anything that involves a lot of cuts is a pain in the butt because my laptop struggles. Right, now this is going to be too big because I took 2 squares. We could probably still cut it down the middle. We should be alright. Should have brought that A over a bit. Just make it wider. Make sure that when we thicken the lines, it's towards the outside so it looks more even. All right, so in the month of April, the end of April, the very end of April, I started a Patreon. I was lovingly peer pressured into this. I have some amazing friends who have been nagging me for a long time to start a Patreon, and I conceded at the end of April, and I'm still amazed that people are this kind and supportive of me essentially colouring. So I'm just like, whoa. But of course that meant when I was setting up May's spread, I was like, I want to track Patreons. So I created a spread. I don't know if this spread is how I'm going to track my Patreons. And yes, I know I can download the official data, but this is pretty, and it's here. So what I did last month, and so what I'll do for now, and then in July I will decide if I want it in a different way, or if I want to actually track individual users, or I'm not sure yet. But what I'm writing now are the actual categories of Patreon tiers that I have. Everything is themed around a retirement home because we joke about me being a grandma, and I am a-okay with being a grandma, because why wouldn't you want that retired life, Naps every day, food looked after for you, being able to just take life slow and chill. I'm down. So that's just the individual tiers of the different Patreons, and I believe what I intended was just to write down how many Patreons I had at each tier, and then the total monthly, which can change month to month, but that was the idea for now. Don't know if we're going to stick with it. Alright. Now, on the other side, this is the most complicated page to set up. This is the page where I have a lot of stuff that I track. And then once this page is done, the rest of them are pretty straightforward. So on this side, in fact, I might even tape it off now. So what I like to do is I like to divide this first page. So I think we're going to use a silver glitter tape, because this page could use some sparkle. This will help me use up these tapes that don't stay on the roll and are basically falling off. So making sure we're clear of that Patreon, and we can use the lines to help guide to make sure we've put things in the right place, which helps with making sure we're laying the tape down straight. Boom. So there's our divide. So now we have all this side, and these ones have a bit more detail to go into them, so I make them a bit wider to record. That was, no, wait till you thicken it. It always looks messy until you thicken it. Still kind of looks messy. Again, it's my journal, like, just whatever I feel like. Alright, to record. So, every month I have a select collection of videos that I want to record. So, the first one I start off with is, of course, completed pages. And then there's also always a haul. And then I have the hashtag summary video, which could possibly go on the haul or a this month's colouring plans. So I am just going to put colouring plans. It depends on how many people I get in my hashtags, if it warrants its own video or if it gets merged into colouring plans. And then the other video now is I have started releasing my hashtags early. So while this one won't be filmed until towards the end of June, that is a video to film in June. Then I also write down anything else that I might want to film. So this is things that have not been completed in the previous month. Now, currently at the time of recording this, I have not completed 2 of the videos on my list that I wanted to complete. And just because of the travel, I know I'm not going to get to them. So I am going to transpose these now. But if I was taking these books with me or these projects with me, and I knew that I could do them well down there, I would, but I unfortunately can't. So these are 2 videos that I've been asked about that are on the plans to do. I just haven't got to them. And then the other thing I do is I flick back to May, because there's always a category called June Ideas, which you can see at the bottom. So this is where, if I have any ideas of what I might want to do in the future, I'll just chuck it down in here and grab it out. And sometimes I'll even write down, like this June Ideas original video, I think I wrote down in February as a note to put it into June's, and I transposed it to May to remind me to put it in June. So because we are halfway through the year, I thought it might be a good idea to do a halfway to the goals video this month. Just to show where I'm at with my different yearly goals that I've got. And then June 16th marks my when I uploaded my first video to YouTube. So I just want to make a note that that date is kind of a big date this month, and that actually falls on a Friday. So what I will do, this is the first time I've ever actually used this, but I think this is a good idea to just sort of highlight that date, because that's an important date. Changing it on the fly. So yeah, there might be other things that I record. I try to leave a little bit of room in here so that if anything else comes up, any ideas, any requests that people have, or if like they have a specific book flip through that people would like recorded, or anything along the way. Both the light tutorial and the bookmark ones came from my videos. So, you know, if you ever see something and you want more details, let me know, because it will go on my list and I will eventually get there. I would have actually completed these earlier would it had not been. I just did that way too high after just saying I needed to leave room. Oh well. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say. It's currently 1:30 a.m. Alright, buddy colours. So this is where any colours, I'm pretty sure you all know by now what a buddy colour is. Usually I have one with colouring Bumblebee. That is pretty much my consistent one. I will wait to hear if they would like to do a buddy colour this month. For obviously it's way too early right now. She's currently working on our current buddy colour, so yeah, and she may choose to do one of my prompts instead. I don't know, we'll see. So I'll just leave that blank for now. I don't do a lot of buddy colours. I'm more inclined to take a buddy colour if it will help me achieve Mythomorphia or one of my goals. So if it's something that I've got a work in progress in, or a goal book, something I'm more likely to take a buddy colour in, just because a lot of what I choose to colour is very how I feel at the time. Right, so let's actually leave like 4 lines there. And hashtag / prompts. So same thing, any hashtags or prompts that I see. So like last month I had Mermaid, I had my own wheel of prompts, and then I had the Mystical Lands in May collaborative page that I took part in. Right now I do have I have 2 of my own prompts. which I'm not going to spoil. I'm just going to leave little dots there and I'll come back and fill that in after the video. But I have also pre-recorded my prompts videos, so I know what my prompts are for June. It feels so weird to be this organised and filming June stuff at the start of May, but it's what we're doing. So yeah, so I do have those 2 prompts that I will fill in. And yes, they are my own prompt videos or my own prompt tags, but that's the point of doing them, is to also encourage me to do specific things. So I will leave a little bit of room for that. And then the last thing is, I was just about to write June, but it will be July ideas, which Jay would have still worked anyway. So let's do July ideas. And so yeah, this is anything for the following month, which feels even more ridiculous to think about, but if I have any ideas, I will chuck them down here. If I hear of any hashtags coming up or any prompt themes or anything like that. So the one idea I did have, which could kind of go in June maybe, is the midwinter Christmas, which is a common thing over here because we are in the southern hemisphere. It's currently heading into winter. It's starting to get really cold and wintry here, so there's a lot of places that will do like a Christmas themed and very traditional Christmas themed, because Christmas is in summer here in New Zealand, so we don't really get that wintry snow Christmas. So there's a lot of places that will do like midwinter Christmas. So I thought it might be a fun idea to do a Christmas page in the middle of July. Just to, do a wintry Christmas page in winter for once. So that's the only idea I had for July so far. Alright, so now you can see I've got the basic page done. So now I decide if I want any more stickers or anything else decorating the page. So we'll put a dragonfly down here because I think that needs it. And then we're just going to chuck a little silver heart down there. And I'm just going to leave that bottom bit empty. If need be, I'll add additional notes or to record. In fact, I even could do a little, because I don't usually have a lot of like ideas to fill up a space. So let's do a little notes. Let's do it all pretty and scrolly. And we'll use the grey and we'll just go nyoing, nyoing. Boom. So yeah, that's basically my first page. Like I said, this is the most involved page because this is where I record the majority of my information. So the next page is purchases and then my own hashtag. So getting some sneak previews here of what I have purchased this month. So yeah, basically this is where I track my colouring books and then participants in my own hashtags. Just so that when it comes to the end of the month, I can make sure I've got everyone and like tick them off on the list as I create the videos and put their pages up and stuff. So this is a good time to chuck in some more tape should we want some more tape, which I think we do. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this black spot one. Just going to add a nice little strip down here, divide off the page. And then we'll just go purchases is. I think it's about that right. I question that every month. And this time, I think maybe we'll use some pink. Actually, I could have used that in the middle there. That would have been quite cool. Might remember that. Oh. But we could do that, or do we want to just use this as a mid-page divider? I think we'll just use it as a mid-page divider. So I am going to probably about there. Now I do tend to leave more for purchases than my own hashtag participants. Apart from my very first one, which was very, very like, oh my goodness, but it was very generalized. It was just any page of Mythomorphia. Yeah, I don't tend to get like huge numbers of participants in my hashtag, which is quite alright, because I just appreciate anyone who does choose to. It just helps me be motivated to, you know, get into doing it. So the other thing we'll do in here is my hashtag. So I'm not being very particular with this writing. And what we'll do is we'll use the grey. Out of the way tape. Gets a bit all over the place. Now, there was actually a legit halfway point, and I did used to count this out. And one of the things that people do in bullet journaling is they will save like a front page where they will mark out like the half, the 3/4, so that you can be consistent each time. I did not do that. I'm not that smart. So I just kind of guesstimate. It's fine. Again, this is just for me, so I don't mind. Boom. So there is my 2 halves for my hashtag. And then the only thing left to do is go in there and write what the particular hashtags are, which again I will do post video so that I don't spoil it. But let's go back up to these purchases. Now I did pull out this tape, but I feel like that's going to be too much. I think we'll just keep that off. Do we want a little bit? We'll roll up the columns first, because it's a little bit more, and then we'll sort it out from there. My phone is telling me low battery. No! You'll survive. The rest of this is usually pretty quick. So we just roll a line right across. And then I usually use about 2 columns. And I roll 1 square up past the columns. Past the title bar. And then I kind of leave about 3 squares. Roll again. And then the rest of that is blank. And then what I do is, this is the number. So I can just track how many total books there are per month. This is how much the book cost. And then we just put the book title in here. Pretty straightforward. Now I do also put craft supplies and stuff into there, even though I write down book title. I probably should start writing /supplies. But of course the numbering only applies to the books, and that just makes it easier when it comes to the end of the month, because I can just look down the list and go, oh yeah, 11 books. It's just an ease thing and nothing else. No, I think what we will do is we're just going to use some silver hearts. Easy peasy. I've got piles of these sheets, so I can always go and grab some more if I need some more hearts. Boom. So there's that page there. Like I said, this is a very quick, simple spread. This is not an overly detailed one, especially compared to the first one. So yeah, there is our first two, and then we move on from there to our next spread, which is our completed pages. Again, this is a very simple one. So I'm just going to chuck my phone on charge. And what I'm going to do is completed pages. And then I'm going to use that little idea that I mentioned last time. Do we want it there? Do we want it there? Would look. But we could also. Yeah, I've stuck it down. We'll put it there. Now I put that ever so slightly below the line on the other side, just so we keep it even. Again, this is why I like all the lines and the grids. It makes it really easy to tell when you're being even. And then, where did that pink tape go? We're going to stick. I'm going to make this one just slightly shorter. Peel the back off. Just sort of in the middle of that tape. Boom. That's looking cute. I like that. Okay, so last month, once again, I tried a new format, and I'm really liking how it turned out, how it's been working for the month of May. So I'm going to repeat that here. And basically what that was I used to only write down a page when I completed it. And I started in May writing down any page I worked on, but having a completed or not column, which made it really easy to tell what was in progress, what is not in progress. But also when it comes to the end of the month, I will know what drafts or work in progress pages I've progressed in, so I can show you any works in progress more easily. Because sometimes I do pull out and start working and stuff and don't complete it, and I forget to show what my work in progress pages are. So it will get a bit easier to do that sort of thing. So we start off with a one column, and that is going to be where I will number. This pen is not working very well, and I think it is because we are possibly working over either the stickers or the stickers underneath, or just the angle of the paper. There we go, that'll kind of work. So we do about that big for the actual book title column. And I do reserve a whole page. I have only needed a whole page once, but I'm always optimistic. And then we one column. Oh, 2 1 column, and then a 2 column. Okay, they're not the greatest lines, but it'll still work. So this is number, same thing again. I will go through and number the completed pages, and it means that I can just look at the list and go, yep, this. Then it is the book, and then it is the page. And sometimes I'll even write down the number of the page. And then this is our completed, which is too big to write. And this is our social, and that is my digital tracker. So that's just a way to go, yep, it's completed. Yep, it's been up on socials. Yep, it's gone onto the tracker. And I'm really liking how that is working out at the moment with this month. All right, do we want one at the top? Oh, we could layer. Oh no, that will stick over the page, unfortunately. So we could do it that way. How does that look? Is that too much? I feel like it's a bit too much. Let's do a strip across the bottom. And I'll add a strip of glitter on top. Cool. There's the completed pages page. Again, that one's not a lot, but that one is mostly going to be me filling things out. So then the final page is the goals and social posts for the month. So this is again another one that I started last month that I am really finding useful and enjoying. So we're going to do that one again. So that was a weird G. I don't know if I can. I'm just kind of add that. Yeah, kind of works as a G. I don't know what my hand was doing there. Silver. Yeah, let's do some silver. So this is for me to track anything that I want to achieve in the month. So for example, Mythomorphia pages. And I started this just so I could kind of have a visual representation of how I was going with the monthly goal, especially in after April where I screwed up so badly. So yeah, just I know I like having the visual. I stuck that down too far out, but it was stuck. So what are you gonna do? And then about halfway down we do, that's the wrong one. A bit below halfway down. I don't do a lot of these actually, so social posts. Yeah. Where did that go? Excuse me while I do a quick hunt into the void. Found it. I hate when that happens. Anyone else hate that? Okay, so do you want some more dots? Yeah, I think we'll do some more dots, eh? Cool. So now, one thing that I do post each month is my stream schedules. And then we also will need a social post for hashtags. So that's just a way of keeping track to make sure, yep, I have done those and those have gone out. We'll see what else I need this month. But in terms of goals, so obviously the big one is Mythomorphia. Because to finish this book this year, I need to complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.3. 6.3. That's my little, like, that one's not sticking down that well. That's my little, like, tick, 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 done. You know? I like it. Right, so the next thing is we have the live streams, because one of my goals this year is to actually stream consistently, which we have been doing really well on. So I do stream on Twitch on Tuesdays and Fridays. Now, my torch is still on. So in the month of June, I don't have any YouTube videos, YouTube live streams booked in. I will also have, that was the Twitch, and then we also have Patreon. I need to write this down. I think this one I try to write down separately and then I sketch it in. So we have the Twitch ones. We have a Patreon exclusive live stream. I have some Pathfinder live plays. And then I have a Yes and live stream that I will be helping out with. I'm not in it. I'll probably just be moderating it. So the Twitch live streams this month would technically be the 2nd of June, but I'm travelling back, so that's not happening. That pen is also not working. That's what we'll do. So it will be the 2nd, but it's not happening. We have the 6th, which was happening. We have the 9th, at the 13th, at the 16th, at the 20th, the 23rd, at the 27th, and then the last day of the month is a stream day. And then no, not that one. So from the 18th of June onwards, I can do maybe some Sunday ones, which is one of my goals. Although I do have a gig the following Sunday, so maybe not. That might be a July thing to start doing some Sunday streams. We will see. Alright, so the Patreon just goes in as a blank square, because I'm not sure when those ones are yet. It depends on the patrons themselves and when they when I can get most people together. So I have a Pathfinder on the 12th and the 26th. And then the Yes and on the 10th. And yeah, so that is that. And this also helps me when I am putting together the social media post as well, to have these dated out. So this is a big reason why I also do this. So I will still sketch in the 2nd, the 6th, and just so I remember, I'll do a cross because this one I'm not available for. So I know it's a regular date, I'm just not available for it. So we have the 20th, the 23rd, the 27th, and the 30th. So we do a P for Patreon, which is left blank. PF for Pathfinder, which there are 2 Pathfinders this month. Yes, and which is the 10th. And then I will leave a YT in there for YouTube, just in case something comes up, but I'll just leave that one blank as well. I don't commit to any YouTube live streams. If I get invited to events that are on YouTube, I will participate on YouTube lives, but Twitch is my primary live stream platform. It is where I'm comfortable, it is where I am established. I have been on Twitch for 8 years at this point, and I've been affiliate for I don't know how long. But yeah, definitely a lot more comfortable with the live streaming on Twitch, so I prefer that as a platform. So that's where I do my live streams. Right. So even though I did it earlier, I do like to do just little my prompts, just so I have that visual tick of what they are. Again, I will fill out the specific prompts after the video. And then a lot of this is going to remain blank because there might be specific things that come up. There might be we're doing this goal this month, or let's do this situation. So those may not be established until closer to the end of May. So this one, we're just going to have to leave a bit blank for now. But the idea is that I have the basics down. Just put that way out of line. I don't know if I can lift it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've got the basics down. I've got enough in here that now I can take this journal with me to continue tracking, and it's all set up ready for June. And the only thing that I will do is I will pack these pens into my pencil case that I'm taking with me, so that should I choose to, I can also add any other memos or notes or anything I want. I think I'm actually going to put that one up there. I like that little cue like that. And yeah, so now comes the fun part. We just go through and decide anywhere else we want to put tape or glitter or stickers. Oh, I could overlap that, because that one's not even sticking down all that well. This needs to be like half the thinness. Actually, I got an idea. Do, 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 do. So yeah, this has taken me just over an hour. This has taken me a bit longer than usual, just with me talking and all that. Like normally I'd have this banged out in about half an hour. So it is a bit slower recording it for you, but I hope you've enjoyed seeing the process. to seeing what I choose to track each month. I'm really curious as to what people track. It's a real personal thing, and everyone sort of has their own, like, this is what I like to track type stuff. I find it real interesting to see what people like to record or what stats they find interesting. So I'd be really curious to know what your favorite stats are. Did you enjoy this type of video? Is this something that I should be recording each month? Would you like to see my coloring journal set up each month? I'm not like the world's greatest journal maker. I just kind of slap stuff on a page and hope that it sticks. And it's the case of some of the stickers and washi tape, quite literally. So yeah, now it's just a case of anywhere I want a sticker. I've got one left. I've got two in there. Let's put a second one up there. Down the bottom. Let's do down the bottom. Can we do it opposite? Yeah. Actually, that's a lot down the bottom with those three down there. Yeah, we will chuck it up here. No, debated that initially. But yeah, we'll chuck it up there. So there is our completed spread for June. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye! Look how pretty and sparkly it is. Bye.